Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Well, we're going to find a way, if you all work with us, to make sure that we end on time. Is that all right? Because we have a wonderful evening. I'm Melanie Campbell, head of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Thank you so very much. And we know everybody's had a long, hard day. Traffic's been crazy, so we're going to do a little twist here and go ahead and eat. Is that all right? So I'm going to ask my pastor and a leader in the AME Church and in many other places, but he is the pastor of Community of Hope AME Church and a board member of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, who will bring the invocation, and following that we will have dinner, and then we'll pick right on up in a few minutes and allow you all to have some food. And we thank you all so much for being here. Thank you. Reverend?
Let us pray. God, we're grateful for this day. We thank you, God, for your hand, and we thank you for your power. We thank you, God, for this great organization, and we thank you, God, for the responsibility of work. We thank you, God, for Melanie, and we thank you, God, for how you have used her so phenomenally down through the years. Now bless her. God bless the National Coalition. God bless all that are here. Bless them, God, in all the various areas in which they try to impact this nation, try to impact this world. Let, God, the work we do, God, bear a harvest. Help us not to grow weary in well-doing, for we know that in due season we shall reap a harvest if we faint not. So now bless this food, bless this fellowship, but most of all, God, bless the work. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much for having me here this evening. Again, my name is Karen Lynette, L-I-N-E-T-T-E. You can check me out at KarenLynette.com. Check out my new EP called Upside of Life with the title single featuring Najee. Upside of Life is the name of the EP. Thank you so much. When I wake up in the morning, love, and the certain light hurts my eyes, bears heavy without warning, love, it bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. Hey, oh, a lovely day. Hey, hey, yeah, oh. Well, the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, with someone else instead of me. Always seem to know the way, and then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Yeah, and just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. Yeah, a lovely day. to shout out these incredible musicians on this stage tonight. Are you all enjoying the music? Long as the fellowship is good, the food is good, and what about the music? Yes, I couldn't do it alone, I know. So if I can take a second to introduce these incredible musicians right here at home, some of the DMV's finest in the city. If y'all could please show your love to my far right on drums, Mr. John Lampkin III. On bass, if you could please show your love for Mr. Adrian Egg Norton. Standing behind me up here on this saxophone, blowing it oh so good. Y'all show your love for Mr. Philip Doc Martin. He's a doctor, you know. And the one that's holding it all together with a piece of tape. Glue, whatever you need, he got it. If y'all could please show your love on keyboards, Mr. Chris Fisher. And again, my name is Karen, K-A-R-E-N, Lynette, L-I-N-E-T-T-E. Y'all check me out at KarenLynette.com. Thank you so, so, so much. Now, we've been doing this song by the iconic Mr. Bill Withers. I'm gonna see if I can hold that note. Can anybody help me with it? Anybody can help me with that long note? You gotta take a deep breath. You know I'm all tucked in tonight, we'll see though. I'm gonna try to do it. We're gonna see. We can do it, man. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. He say don't do it. He say don't do it. I'm gonna do it. A lovely day. A lovely day. One more. A lovely day. A lovely day. Here we go. A lovely day. Woo! Woo! Oh, Lord. Bill would be proud. Oh, man. Woo! I want to go back with a classic if that's all right, band. Let's go on back with a real classic. You feeling good, Lampkin? All right. Summertime, and the living is easy. Thank you so much. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing, and you spread your little wings and fly to the sky. But until that morning, nothing's gonna harm you. With mama and daddy standing by. So they jump in, and that cotton is high. But until that morning, nothing's gonna harm you. Thank you so much. My name is Karen Lynette. We're going to take a little pause for the calls. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. We hope everybody's enjoying. Please continue to enjoy the festivities. We'll see y'all a little later. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spirit of Democracy. Please join me as we welcome our co-host and moderator for the evening, Roland S. Martin, award-winning author, journalist, and founder and host of the daily digital show, Roland Martin Unfiltered, and Michelle, the indie mom of comedy, who has appeared on shows such as BET Comic View, Martin Lawrence Presents the First Amendment Stand-Up, Nickelodeon's Search for the Funniest Mom in America, 3, just to name a few. Please join me in a warm round of applause for our host for the evening.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We're ready to rock. First things first, let's just give it up for all you beautiful people. Come on, make some noise in here for yourselves. You look amazing. Roland, we got a couple of them with some low self-esteem. I ain't hear no clapping.
Well, because everybody ain't beautiful.
Come on, don't start. We just getting started, and they got notes. They got notes for you already. It's going to be a beautiful night. We all right?
Right, I was asking them my own microphone. I'm like, no, she ain't
Oh,
that loud.
Oh, do you need your own microphone?
They just said, I said, no, she ain't that loud. Go ahead.
All right, you know what? First of all, Roland and I really like each other a lot. I guess y'all can see that. We get along very well.
Yeah, like I like Trump.
You know what? But here's the reality. He had the good sense, and I tell him this every time we're together. He had the good sense to marry my soror from Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Hold up. Before y'all start clapping, let me correct you on a couple of things.
What's it? What?
First of all, she's been a Delta for 10 years.
Okay.
I've been an Alpha for 30 years.
What does that have to do with the price of cheese,
So
Ro?
what that means is she married an Alpha. I ain't married a Delta.
Oh.
But remember, Alpha's y'all daddy anyway, so you know it's
what?
all good.
But y'all know he talking slick because the soror ain't in the building.
Hell
Can we
no,
clap
no.
for that?
We live streaming. She know what the hell I'm saying. She
You know what, Jackie? I got you, sis.
I got my 30-year life member pen. I'm just saying.
You know what? I'm
See?
with you. I'm with you all night.
there
So
y'all
Roland, we are here. We're gonna get focused, Ro. We're here
And why you bring this paper up here?
because they
yeah.
gave me paper.
I'm like, y'all better.
So Roland has a tablet.
Y'all better email that damn script.
Roland has a tablet. It's gonna be a long ass night. I can't with this dude. Give him his own microphone. This ain't working out. Somebody get him a lavalier so he can walk over there. He needs to be on the other side.
But I appreciate the coordination with the hair and the dress. I mean, that's
You know what?
that's,
Get off! I cannot stand. That's what it is when you from Houston and you've been. Look, Roland's been in D.C. so long.
I've only been here 9 years.
Roland, that's a lifetime for a black person.
In a lifetime.
In D.C., you still here? You ain't.
I don't live in D.C. I'm in Virginia.
You know what? The bottom line is that we do thank God for Roland and all the great work he does in journalism. Can we give him a round of applause? And can y'all start praying for his wife right now because she got to deal with this every day.
You ain't got to pray for her. She a reverend.
You know
She
what?
can pray for herself.
And you went to divinity school too.
No, I didn't. I'm bootleg.
Roland, why you tell me back in the day
I
you
didn't
went
tell
to
you that. I ain't never girl play. That's too much school.
That's too
I'm
much
bootleg.
school. You bootleg.
Plus, it's always good you can marry a reverend. That way they can lay hands on you.
Yes, and she need to lay some hands on you. Yes.
I don't disagree.
Well, let's welcome everybody. Can we do? I can't stand. Can we welcome them, Roland?
Come on.
We welcome you to the 22nd annual. You see, I know how to work. Spirit of Democracy Awards
You need me
tonight.
to zoom it in?
You know what?
Okay, go ahead.
Tonight.
You can't do this with paper.
You know what? Tonight, we're celebrating the diversity of democracy by honoring 10 very special individuals. They're exemplary leaders in our community and nation. So we're excited about. But first, let's start with. We already did that.
Yeah, right.
We
already
did
that.
Karen. Can y'all clap for the vocalist, please? That was some grown folks singing right there.
That's right.
That was some flat foot, as my brother would say, some flat foot singing. I'm not sure what that means. It just sounds deep.
That means they don't sing in heels.
You know, that's not what it means, Roland. You're being too literal.
We'll text them then.
You know what?
All right. We got to thank our sponsors, of course, our executive producer title sponsors. Give it up for AT&T, the Coca-Cola Company, and Comcast NBC Universal.
Yes, absolutely.
Marquee premier sponsors, AARP and Verizon Communications.
Yes.
What are AARP people?
Where are the AARP people?
I am shocked. I turned 50 in November last year. They ain't tracked my ass down.
Track me down either.
Because, you know, AARP will hit you when you turn 48.
Soon as you turn 48 no, it's like space, 48 and impossible. Soon as they think you about to make board.
I mean, y'all be like, how the hell y'all get my address? AARP will track you down.
AARP should be running the country is what they should be doing. Because
Hey.
their security is amazing. I don't know how they be finding us, really.
But all the AARP members, who likes them discounts?
Oh, tell the truth. Come on,
See,
tell the
some
truth.
Some of y'all lying. Y'all got them
That
Vegas.
one over there, she like her discount. She like your discount.
That's why I wrote my parents everywhere. I'm like, yo, 15%. Let's go.
Let's go. So we also want to thank, well, look, we had AARP, Verizon. Our center stage sponsors are American Federation of Government Employees. Let's give them a round of applause. American Federation of Teachers. Teachers, guys, we should be clapping much louder for our educators. And I know what it is. Some of y'all ain't had your IEP updated in years, so you don't even understand. I'm not. That was a joke. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's also thank the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees.
That's right.
Charter Communications and Enterprise. Come on, guys.
And, of course, Spotlight sponsors, the American Postal Workers Union.
Yes.
All right, don't lose it in here. All right, Forethought, Georgia Pacific. Some of y'all got that, huh?
Yes, some of them.
International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers.
Yes.
Oxfam America. And SEIU 1199.
Yes. And our curtain call sponsors are the National Urban League. Come on, y'all. Y'all got to clap for the Urban League. And also Odyssey. Odyssey.
Also, want to thank all of you who don't work with anybody. You just bought your own ticket. So we appreciate all of you being here as well for making this evening a success.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think we've done that part. And we've already done the invocation, right? And now we're doing dinner. Clap for dinner. Isn't dinner amazing? Aren't you excited? Okay, some of y'all mad because there's no chicken. I already feel that in my spirit. It's a low chicken vibration in here right now.
All right, that's the salmon people. All right, let's come to the stage, please. Etna Kane Williams, Senior Vice President, Multicultural Leadership, AARP. And following AARP, we'll have Donna Epps, Vice President, Public Policy and Strategic Alliances. We'll bring greetings on behalf of Verizon Communications.
Let's welcome to the stage. Let's welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
Huh? All right, Mark Colby Littlejohn. We speaking, representing Verizon. All right, Mark, Director of External Affairs, Public Policy. Come on up, Mark, this way. You got some gift cards or something?
I do not.
Damn, bro, come on. Right, hook a brother up. Come on now.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Verizon and all of my colleagues there, I'd like to thank you for coming out tonight, supporting Melanie and the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation. We've had a long partnership. I'm really thankful that we're involved and going to keep this partnership going. Really appreciate all the work that Melanie's been doing, and I hope you all enjoy your evening.
Absolutely.
No, I absolutely love you. And for everybody else who's coming up here, take a page out of this brother's book. He had a minute and he did 47 seconds. Just, come on, y'all don't want to be real in here. Y'all know some people get to the microphone and it's a situation. So I'm going to ask you guys to be as courteous and as forthright as this good brother. Thank you again for all your support and partnership. We really appreciate you.
You know he's an alpha.
That has nothing to do with the price of cheese.
I'm just letting you know. All right, folks. Certainly want to thank SEIU for their support. Jerry Hudson, Secretary Treasurer of SEIU and NCBCP board member, was unable to make it due to travel for SEIU, which means that brother had to work. In his absence, we ask the members of SEIU to please stand to be recognized so we can thank you as a group. All right. right then. Now it's time for hand some awards out. Have they brought the dessert out? Because last year I told Melanie, look, you can't have no black event unless you got some peach cobbler for dessert. Stop trying to be all cute with cheesecake and stuff like that. What?
Let me tell you something right now. I already knew it was going to be a special group of people. I see more. Listen, in the women's bathroom, you will find out everything you need about who's coming in here tonight. I think one of the sponsors next year should be Spanx. Can y'all please clap for Spanx? No, y'all don't want to play fair. Don't make me point you out. I got mine on. Let's get Spanx on board. Let's get Spanx and let's get Nordstrom Intimate Apparel. Clap for that good bra. Come on, clap for that. Oh, y'all want to be bougie. Is that what we doing? And some of y'all go ahead and invest, because I can tell you ain't invested in years in a good one. Stop playing.
You ain't right.
No, you the same one that just said whatever you just said. You was thinking it, Roland, so I said it.
I ain't never afraid to say it. My show is called Unfiltered.
It sure is.
Yes, it is. I ain't got a problem saying it at all. You said it. All right, let's bring up the CEO, of course, NCBCP. That's a lot of damn letters. First of all, Melody, you got a triple-sided business card. Of course, Convenient Black Women's Roundtable. She's going to present the President's Leadership Circle Award. So coming to the stage, Melanie Campbell.
That was nice having two brothers do that. Yes, thank you. Thank you all so very, very much. And Roland, help me, because you got this. You didn't change my thing around here.
What?
So is this me? Okay.
I don't know. That's what they said to me.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Michelle. Give our host a round of applause. Thank you all again for joining us tonight. You know, it was a rough day. The weather's crazy. Whoever was in town. How many folks had a rough time getting here tonight? I tell you, so God is good all the time. So thank you all for investing your time. Thank you all for investing your treasure. Thank you all for partnering with us. Thank you all for all you do in this fight. The National Coalition, I've been there some years now, and so I want to thank my chairman, Thomas W. George Jr. I want to thank all the board members of the National Coalition, all the Black Women's Roundtable leaders that are in this room. We know a lot's at stake in 2020, don't we? So we're going to take a little time, and what I'm going to do is, I had this long thing, but you know, I'm an organizer. And so when you know you don't have time to do all that and hear a whole lot, y'all know, you feel what I was going to say, right? You feel what I was going to say? So let's move this program. Is that all right? So I'm going to ask my chairman to come up here so we can start off with our first honoree, and that will be Alonzo Bird. Alonzo, we are pleased. I don't know about you all. I wear glasses and can't see, and then when the light is in me, it's even worse, so just forgive me as I struggle here. Is Alonzo. Thank you. So give Alonzo one more round of applause. Alonzo is the Assistant Vice President of Public Affairs for Enterprise Holdings Incorporated, which owns and operates Enterprise Rent-A-Car, National Car Rental, and Alamo Rent-A-Car. We are saluting you for your servant leadership, commitment to corporate citizenship, economic opportunity in underserved communities, and your dedication to enhancing the quality of life for children, youth, and seniors in St. Louis and nationally. We thank you for inspiring hope for future generations to pursue their dreams through your volunteerism. Oh, we researched it out before I talked to you. With leadership development, a lot of folks don't know. That's why I said, no, we're going to honor you. Because a lot of times folks just, you know, doing the work. And we wanted to make sure we thanked you for that work. Volunteering with leadership development, education, and community-based organizations like Eastside Aligned, Master Series of Distinguished Leadership, Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner. Many folks in this room know that program. And support for historically black colleges and universities like Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you. So, we are ready. And we'd ask Mark Littlejohn to come up from Verizon. The awards, just in case one to one, the awards are really, we ship those straight from the artist that does that award, because we've done that, handing it to folks, and it shatters before they get home. So trust me, we have it, and it will be shipped directly to you. Next, we have a sister I've known for 20-some years out here in the vineyard, Christine Chin. Christine. It is my pleasure to present the President's Leadership Award for Civic Engagement and Voter Empowerment. Christine is the founding executive director for APIA Vote. We salute you for your tireless dedication and exceptional leadership in civic engagement and civil rights in the Asian, American, and Pacific Islander communities, and in the struggle for equality and access to social, academic, and economic opportunities for all Americans. We are also honor you for your track record, that's what I remember, in building effective coalitions across race, and we worked together really back when I first came here in the 90s. So I'm telling how long I've been here for sure. So we thank you. We thank you for the work you do in civil rights, racial and social justice, immigration, dealing with the hate crimes, affirmative action, and so much, much more. And we'll hear that as we get you all interviewed. Thank you so very much for accepting our honor, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight. Thank you. Yep, just stay right there. All right, next we have a brother that really needs no introduction, in my opinion, Brother David Johns. David. It is my honor, David. That's right. And everybody show your hashtag forever, ever, ever, just forever. Yes. David, it is my honor to present you with this award for your leadership in civil rights and social justice. David, as the executive director of the National Black Justice Coalition, you're just killing it. Let me just say that. That's not on my script. As a civil rights organization that is dedicated to the empowerment of black, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people including people living with HIV and AIDS. We salute you for your exceptional leadership, fighting for also not just civil, but the human rights of our people, for black people, and really all people. But especially black people. Especially black folks. So David, thank you for accepting our award, and we look forward to the conversation we'll have with you.
Thank you, Fran.
We're gonna get this in order. You know what? Half of y'all sit on that side. Right here. I'm half on that side. Thank you. We're gonna get this. When we get through this, we'll have it down by the time the night is over with. Next, another sister who I really, really love hearing her commentary. Not just hearing her commentary, but living her commentary. And that is my sister Maria Teresa Kumar. Maria, we present you with the award for your leadership for your around communication, civic engagement, and community empowerment. You are my sister in the movement for justice. Teresa, folks have seen her. She founded and is the head, president and CEO of Voto Latino, and is an Emmy-nominated contributor of MSNBC. We salute you for your exceptional leadership and unwavering commitment fighting for the civil rights, human rights, and economic opportunity for Latino Americans, and celebrate your visionary and trailblazing leadership in expanding the political power of Latino Americans by founding Voto Latino. And just thank you for your unwavering voice for the voiceless by speaking truth to power. As I've seen you as we fight for our brothers and our sisters on the border, I've seen you lay your life out there for our undocumented brothers and sisters. So I thank you, we thank you, and honor you tonight. Thank you. Now, my sister, Angela Rye. My sister, Angela Rye, Esquire. It is truly, 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 truly an exciting moment for me. I've known this sister for quite a while, and I've got the script, but I'm going to just speak it because you are, first of all, how many folks just love seeing Angela break it down on CNN? And how important it is that you bring the message that you bring with your colleagues, how critical it is in the time that we find ourselves in, that you are so unapologetically black, unapologetically a black woman, just unapologetic about justice. And I thank you, we thank you. So we lift you up, and I'll read a little bit of this because I think it's very important, but I just thank you. So Angela, who is part of that squad, is what I was talking about, that was the word, and as leading the principal and CEO of Impact Strategies, we salute you for your visionary leadership. We got some bad visionaries in this room, and everybody's a visionary at the end of the day, but we just want to take a few of our folks and lift them up tonight. And your commitment, especially to young black folk, I know you were out there in my home state of Florida. I know you fight for voting rights. You fight for women's rights. You fight, 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 but you fight with a purpose. You're not fighting just to fight. And we thank you for that. And we just want to take a few minutes to say thank you here tonight. And so thank you for accepting our award. Love you. I guess you might as well just stay here with me. Just stay right here. I'm going to ask my family to come up. Ask. Are they up here? I can't see. So those who've been around the National Coalition, remember I had a sister who was a part of my journey in the movement, who spent 15 years with me, who passed away suddenly in 2011. And she was part of the coalition family. And the board of directors of the National Coalition wanted to honor her memory for her work, not just helping me, but being her own leader, and actually established an award that we give away every year called Love You More. And she had a lot of things coming at her. She loved everybody. And so we give this award out, not just for the pain that she had, but also for the joy and the work. And so I ask every year folks from my family to come up and present this award. And this year, we're giving it to Michelle, Indie Mom of Comedy, who is more than a comedian. She's a leader in her community of Baltimore. So we have Reverend Dr. Judith Moore, Leo Moore, yes, after I finish reading them, Isaac Campbell Jr. This is my one and only brother, Isaac Campbell Jr., who flew down here, he retired from the education system in the state of Florida, and my nephew Clifford Campbell, who are here to stand with us to give this award. So Reverend Dr. Judith Moore, and my brother-in-law Leo Moore.
Michelle, it is with great joy that we present the Ruby Camille Pulliam Love You More Community Empowerment and Social Justice Leadership Award for your exceptional leadership and for your lifetime commitment fighting for moms and children. We salute you. You are inspiring and a hope for the future generations to come to pursue their dreams by founding the Gold Diggers Sokofa Project in Baltimore. Thank you for your dedication to empowering Black girls to live their best lives by pouring into them and own their own girl power through membership, mentorship, advocacy, education, self-love, and so, so much more. Amen.
Yep, thank you. Take a picture. Y'all gotta move down, move down, move down, move down. Oh, there it is. And we turn it back over to Roland Martin to have an awesome conversation with our President's Circle Leadership honorees. Thank you, Roland.
All right. Let's go ahead and get right started. I'm going to throw this out there. Anybody can jump in and answer the question. No need for me to do a sprinkler sort of conversation. Everybody has an impact on our careers. People play a critical role. Is there a particular individual or a couple of folks who really played a significant role in your career in terms of your ability to advance in what you're doing today? Who is that, and what do they mean to you? Anybody can start us off. Ain't none of y'all shy, so why all of a sudden you trying to be shy?
All right, I'll start. Well, and first of all, let's get the record straight. I'm from East St. Louis. She mentioned St. Louis, but there is a difference, and people know it's East St. Louis. That's where I'm from.
Is that where baseball teams lose 4 straight games?
It's that team that's won 11 world championships over the time.
That's right. You better pull up history because your recent history was rough.
But amongst my heroes was Kurt Flood. Right? I used to see him all the time, and Kurt Flood is very important because without Kurt Flood, you would not have all these $1 million athletes.
Right.
You know, he said that I'm not your property. I can take my services wherever I want them to.
Challenge the reserve clause of Major League Baseball.
Exactly. So if you read a well-paid slave, you will understand the Kurt Flood story. That was one of my heroes growing up in sports. So that's to start us off.
All right. Next. Anybody? Well, y'all come on. We ain't trying to be here all night.
I'll go ahead and start. So for me, it's actually not one individual, but when I first came to Washington, D.C., it was really folks, everyone from Melanie to Karen Arasaki, Daphne Kwok, those that were really involved with the civil rights, broader progressive community. And it was such a tight community, and they opened up their arms and made space for younger folks to be able to enter into the space and, essentially develop our careers. Because, coming from Ohio, especially growing up in the, 80s and going to college in the early 90s at The Ohio State University, there must be some Michigan fans there.
Damn, there's a lot of groaning going on.
But it's like the whole idea of politics and in Asian American community, it wasn't existing. So to actually see them doing this work in coalition with a broader progressive community, that was what inspired me.
All right, Twinkle Toes.
Anybody who knows me knows that I care passionately about our babies, all of them. And it was Chanel Hardy who gave me that language years ago, and many of you in this room who supported me as a CBCF fellow when I started my career a long time ago. And as I've continued to try and leverage the skills and opportunities that have been provided to me to make space for all of our babies so that they can sit in spaces like this as their true full selves without apologizing or shrinking for it. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you. I will not try and name you because I will get in trouble, but I will name Impact. When I moved to DC and I was working on the Hill and I was looking for something to do with my time, talent, and treasures, it was Angela Rye, Joe Briggs, Adria Simhar, Ryan, who had started an organization to ensure that black folks, brown folks, who cared about our communities, who were connected to policy, who were policy entrepreneurs, had a space to grow and learn and be in rooms like this before we were prepared or invited into rooms like this. And I know for a fact that I would not be able to sit on stages like this or have the platforms that I've been able to stand upon to ensure that we do better for all of our babies if it weren't for Impact. So I don't know that I've ever said thank you to my sister, my twin, but I appreciate the invitation to say thank you to you and to the rest of the Impact family.
was beautiful. So I came to Capitol Hill right out of college, and I'll tell you that the first phone call I made was to my dad as I sat on my Capitol Hill desk working for Vic Fazio, just to ring him and say, hey, Dad, how does it feel like you're still paying my bills as a taxpayer? And I say that because my dad, the reason we came to America was because my mom remarried my dad, and I was incredibly fortunate because when I came to this country at 4 years old, I instinctually knew that my life changed for the better. My mother was born in Bogota, Colombia. She had a high school education. She was one of 8 children of a single mother, who by 26, my grandmother, is a fierce Afro-Caribbean woman, who by 26 years old, she had 8 children, and her husband, who was 10 years her senior, decided that that was too much for him. And my grandmother, if you were to say who were to influence me, I was raised by matriarchy. So when people say, well, what about the patriarchy in the Latino community? I don't know what that looks like. My husband half jokes and says, you know, where are the men? We're dancing. We don't know where the men are. But I grew up very much in a very strong female household that basically told me that everything was possible because no was for everybody else. And that was because my grandmother raised 8 incredible children with an 8th grade education. She could barely read or write in Cartagena, Colombia. And if anybody knows what that means, that it is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, but also by my zip code, so to speak, but because I was able to actually go to school. And my mother was able to go to school. And when I was 9 years old, I was able to raise my hand and pledge allegiance to the flag for the first time as a U.S. citizen. And I knew that my lot in life had changed simply because we were able to leave an area that my mom and my grandmother had been destined to poverty. And here we had other opportunities. And I would say that those are the 2 that shaped me. In Washington, D.C., the person that shaped me was Mickey Ibarra and Rosario Dawson, because we had this understanding that there was an incredible opportunity in the Latino community as Americans, and no one was talking to us. And so we organized, and we had partnerships like Melanie Campbell, who has been a sister in the fight for a long time, always speaking truth, always being honest, and making sure that we are always present.
Right.
Thank you. Well, first, Melanie, and to NCBCP, thank you for this honor tonight. It is truly a privilege, and I think I have far from earned it. So I just hope that I can measure up to the words that you are my road dogs, and that is a term of respect and honor, and 2 of my best friends. But I also want to just pay homage to one of your honorees tonight, and that is to Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who was my first congressional internship. I had the great privilege of interviewing her for an Essence cover piece last year. And she did my first podcast on one with Angela Rye. And just at every turn, when I wanted to make another career move, when I wanted to really understand the intersection of politics and activism, because at home my dad was always an activist on the outside of politics, she merged those worlds for me and rings. The fact that impeachment is on the table because she's a true patriot, the fact that there are offices of minority and women inclusion in every financial services agency throughout the federal government because she's a true freedom fighter, the fact that she's not afraid to call a truce between the Bloods and the Crips, but also not afraid. So I just want to shout out her, and I just, would like to, just one day, not only follow in her footsteps, but make her proud and make the community proud. So I thank her for her guidance, her leadership, her mentorship, and her wisdom, and most of all, her courage. She's like, just show up. So I hope that I can show up and show out and be just as bad as Queen Maxine.
I'm actually sitting on the stage trying to figure out how I got on the stage. I don't know if anybody else ever feels that way, but as a stand-up comedian, I want you guys to understand that. As a stand-up comedian who is yet to have that huge film career, like I'm that one that shows up everywhere and you don't forget me. But the reality is that I was born my mother's sister. I hope y'all caught that. My sister and I were born my mother's sisters. My mother, who is here tonight, and so is my pop and my sister and my nieces. They were all so excited to come in to be with me tonight. I'm from that city that Trump said is rat infested. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm proud to be a Baltimorean. But I come from that city where if you can make it happen in Baltimore, DC ain't nothing but something to do, is what I'm trying to say. I can't get no help in here. If you can make it in Baltimore. And so I left the PhD program to become a full-time artist and got kidnapped by a brother and ended up being married 20 years with 3 children. Do the math. But in that midst of all of that, as the stand-up that was striving to show that women can be funny, I never cursed on stage. I never said a potty word. Now I'm crazy. I got special needs. But I never take it that far because I wanted to send a message out to the universe that you can be entertaining, brilliant, funny, and fine. Not fine aesthetically, but fine in your thought process. Being able to put things out there that would speak life to people. Being able to empower girls and women, amazing sorority like Delta Sigma Theta sorority. We didn't even have anybody in my family who had ever gone to college. And so to get that entrance, and then to bump into the likes of the Marcia Dysons of the world, and the Melanie Campbells of the world, and so many, and the Susan Taylors who took me under their wing and saw that my comedy, Susan would always say, your comedy adds panacea to the pain of the work that we do with girls and women. And so while I poke fun at the nuances of womanhood and I poke fun at what it takes to be a woman who's filled with courage and dignity, I also am unapologetic of the fact that we should all have an opportunity. Just a chance. Melanie gave me a chance. I hosted her first Black Women's Roundtable. She gave me a chance. I started doing this work with Open Society Institute. I still try to figure out how did a stand-up comic end up getting an award like this. I want to thank my congressman, Elijah Cummings. I want to thank Elijah Cummings, who saw fit to let me work with him at the CBC. Elijah Cummings never left the neighborhood where they say the rats live. You can walk to Elijah Cummings' house right now, and if he's home, he'll open the door. But what I see him do on the Hill, how I see him carry himself, and how much integrity, and his amazing wife, Maya Rockamore, I'm just so inspired by the work ethic. Even as he walks with his cane now, he still ain't nothing nice. And so I thank Elijah Cummings for letting me be a part of his work with the CBC and the work he does in Baltimore. And that's one of my heroes. And I'm not going to veggie back, but I got to say, knowing that I get to be somewhere near Auntie Max. That's what they call you around the world, Congresswoman. Everyone sees you as that woman who's in their family who ain't afraid to call a thing a thing.
All right.
And so we thank God for you, and I thank God for Elijah Cummings, and I thank God for Melanie Campbell and for my family.
Got an election coming up next year. Go ahead. All right. Got an election coming up next year. We also have the census coming up as well. And so if either one of you, we're talking with family member, church member, neighbor, fraternity brother, sorority sister, does not matter, and they say to you, this election has no bearing on me, I don't really care, census not really bothering me, because you have 1 to 2 minutes each. For each one of you, what do you say to them? If you're talking to them, what do you say to them to say why they must vote and why they must make sure they're part of being counted into the census? David, you first.
Yeah, this is easy for me. If you don't care about yourself, then you should care about our babies. Yesterday, I took 5 young people with Susan Taylor to Capitol Hill. They testified before the emergency task force around Black youth, mental health, and suicide. And our babies talked about the consequences of us not listening to them, not asking them about the trauma that they experience, sometimes going through things on the way to and from school that would break the average adult. One of our babies talked about living through the Parkland shooting and what it meant to live in a resource-rich community where she had access to counselors when she was in high school. But now that she's at Alabama A&M, those counselors aren't there. And the therapists that she's forced to go to have no concept of what it means to have survived a mass shooting. One of my babies, Justin, a senior at Howard University, mustered the strength of Bayard Rustin, and James Baldwin, and he acknowledged that even in spaces like this, we forget that there are people that are black and LGBTQ or Afro-Latino or who also have disabilities, and acknowledge that we face trauma that is exacerbated by the fact that we have a terrorist in the White House who uses his bully pulpit to encourage white supremacists and anti-black hate-filled mongers to take it out on other people, in particular our babies. And so if you've decided that for whatever reason you are protected by your privilege, you can drive to your gated neighborhoods, swipe yourself in and out of buildings that you don't have to worry about your safety, remember that our babies who did not be asked to be born have to deal with the consequence of our failures. And if we continue to fail them, at some point it's going to come back to bite all of us in the ass. So deal with it now or deal with it later.
All right. 1 minute and 46 seconds. All right, work it out. Alonzo.
Well, Roland, we talked about just a little bit earlier, and I mentioned,
Not baseball.
Not baseball. I mentioned the young men who I work with in East St. Louis. We've got to give them a sense that they have a responsibility. And that's not the conservative side of being responsible. That's responsible for who you are, for the lineage that they have and that they represent, that they have to step up and do the right thing and be a part of society. They have to participate. Paul Tillich, the theologian, in his book, The Courage to Be, they have to have the courage to step up and be men. And being a man is taking on responsibility. And voting is a responsibility. It is a responsibility, one, because there are many people who have lost their lives to give them the opportunity to do so. There are legislators who are working today to try and gain back some of those rights that were lost in recent years. So I would just try to make the point that, one, you have to participate. You just can't sit back and expect something to happen good if you don't make it happen yourself. And so that's my message to the young men in the community that I'm from. We've lost way too many of them. We continue to lose them. It's a struggle every day to try and get them to change. Change is hard. I wish I could get them to pull up their pants, I can't do that, but I'm going to let them have that, but try and get through them in another way. If it's sports or if it's however, we need to talk to them. We need to listen to them, as David said, and hopefully it will resonate at some point.
All right. Maria.
So when it comes to the Latino community and when it comes to participation, it is something that is incredibly hard because we don't have a history of voting. But the reason that we have the right to vote in the first place is because the struggle of the civil rights movement of the African American community. And it is that history and that opportunity that our communities can find to actually have these conversations that are incredibly difficult, but that our children are going to inherit. My kids are 7 and 5 years old. My daughter represents, as a second grader, she represents the first generation of a majority minority country. Are we ready? We are not. There is an urgency of now, but an opportunity, because for the very first time, we're going to have 12 million more young people eligible to vote, more than baby boomers, ever in our nation's history, and 2/3 of them are young people of color. It is time to give them the reins, because they know what they're suffering. They are smart, they are woke, they are hurt, but they also understand the principles of organizing, ownership, and opportunity. And the more that we can have these conversations in open, frank spaces, the future is bright. And when people say, well, the system is rigged, I say, no. The system works just as it should by those who occupy it. So our job, as the largest generation of Americans, and look around, we're beautiful, we're proud, and we know how the system works, is to occupy that voting booth and occupy our institutions so that there's not just one Maxine Waters, but they're all 100%. Because we actually saw a generational shift in our members of Congress this past election, because young people and young people of color turned out in droves in November, and in January 3rd, America's House looked more like us.
All right. Christine.
So the whole theme about families and children, I think that resonates across a lot of the different communities. I've been going across the country. We've actually been conducting 40 different regional trainings for census and voter engagement, because it's only once out of 20 years that we actually have both happening at the same time. But those outside DC, they don't know what's coming, because when we're out there, a lot of them is like, wow, this is the first time we're even talking about census. And so a lot of it goes back to listening to the communities and making the connections, connecting the dots in regards to, like, if you're not counted in the census, it's like you're missing. They're not going to pay attention to you, whether it's voting or whether it's resources. And so it's really about, for us, it's been a lot about connecting those dots in terms of not only for the Asian American Pacific Islander community, but also in terms of communities of color.
Michelle.
The first thing that jumps in my head about the urgency for voting is if we could just literally do a replay of what happened when we all wanted change and we all voted together to get Obama into the White House. And I think about how people tried to minimize his whole existence just based on his name. I don't think you understand. They counted him out because he had a name that represented where he was from. And it spoke volumes to me when his campaign was able to reach the young people who always felt counted out. I would tell them, in order for you to count, you need to be counted. If you don't show up, then you can't complain. If you don't do what you need to do in the voting polls, then you can't speak about what's not working. And so I think about what happened back during those elections, and I also think about Fannie Lou Hamer. I just have a hard time forgetting her. I feel like if we would put people like her in the front of their minds every day, then they wouldn't be so cavalier about not voting when someone would get beaten just to get the right. So you don't have the luxury of saying, I'm not into it. Because if you're not into it, then you don't have the luxury of complaining when things aren't going well. And so I would suggest that we tell them you only count when you're counted. That would be the bottom line for me.
Angela.
So I think I'm probably a little on the outside of things here, because I think that a lot of the reason why people don't participate is because for so long they've been treated as invisible. And our reality is that we are increasingly coming into a time where our democracy is threatened, and I think it's irresponsible for us to start a civic participation conversation at voting. I think it's irresponsible for us to tell people who are taxpayer dollars or children of taxpayers that their voices don't matter unless they vote. I want people to vote. But before I want people to vote, I want our people to press Mitch McConnell to pass election security measures so that their votes can count. I know it's not popular. I know that Democrats especially don't want to talk about it, but there are real threats being uncovered every day. I do not believe Donald Trump is a legitimate president. I do not believe Ron DeSantis in Florida is a legitimate governor. I do not believe that Stacey Abrams, who is it?
Kemp.
Right? Kemp, thank you. I don't believe he's legitimate. And so the room can be silent, but remember on this day that I told you these people did not win fair and square. And what they're banking on is that they can continue to steal elections from our people so that we'll stay home. But if we just dare to get involved in our civics, not just with the vote, but with challenging people to do right by us, by advocating what's in our best interest, by ensuring that machines cannot be hacked, by ensuring elections cannot be stolen, by ensuring that votes cannot be suppressed, then we engage a population of people who have felt disenfranchised for far too long. It is not popular, it doesn't feel good, but it's going to get worse until we deal with this truthfully. I promise you.
That was 1 minute and 58 seconds. So way to go. Put your hands together for our President's Circle Leadership Award recipients. Thanks a bunch, folks. Thank you very much. We're about to switch them out. One right now, I want to bring up a couple of folks right now, and that is, please help them down. I want to bring up our second executive title sponsor right now, Felicia Wasson, Director, Community and Stakeholder Relations, Public Affairs and Communications the Coca-Cola Company. Felicia, step on up, please. Holla, holla.
Good evening. Hard to follow that, but on behalf of the Coca-Cola Company and our nearly 70,000 associates worldwide, where we endeavor every day to refresh the world, inspire moments of happiness, create change, and make a difference. And that's why we continue to partner with Melanie Campbell, my sister, and the National Coalition in those efforts. We are the world's largest small business. We're the Coca-Cola Company in Atlanta, but we're also Coca-Cola Bottling Company consolidated in D.C. and Coca-Cola Beverages Florida, owned by an African-American man, Mr. Troy Taylor. So I consider it a privilege to be here today to salute the honorees, women, men that our shoulders we stand on every day. And if I may take a personal moment of privilege among a group of friends, I'm honored to have my own shoulders that I stand on every day with me today, my mother from Sametta Turrentine from Dallas, Texas, while we're acknowledging strong women. So thank you on behalf of the Coca-Cola Company. It's our privilege to be here, and we'll continue to be here as long as the fight needs us. Thank you.
All right, then. Step on up, please. Antonio Williams, Senior Director of Government and External Affairs, Comcast, NBC Universal. Tony! Tony left. I'm about to call his ass right now. He knew where he was in the program.
He knew. He got the memo.
All right, Tony, but thanks for the check.
Exactly. That was
Look, I just cut to the chase. I appreciate the check, Tony. Thank you very much.
no bigger than a check. We thank you that the check cleared. Can we clap for that? Because you can get a check, but that means nothing. So at this point, we're going to ask that we have the 2019 Spirit of Democracy Chairman and Leadership Circle Awards presentation to the honorees. So we're going to ask that we have Brother Thomas Dortch Jr., Thomas W. Dortch Jr., come up and present those awards.
He belongs to that little youth group, Omega Psi Phi.
We're happy that an Omega man helped to start Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. It is really a pleasure and an honor for me to present the following awards. Melanie and I will close out later any other remarks, but I have a phenomenal honor first to begin with the first Chairman's Award. And the first award is for the Public Service and Trailblazer Leadership Award. And that award goes to none other than the phenomenal power woman of the world and universe, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. 40 years ago, I came to the U.S. Senate with U.S. Senator Sam Nunn and became the first African-American state director for any U.S. senator. And along that time came this phenomenal powerhouse who's making a difference in California and continued and never looked back. The late Dr. Miles Monroe said that real leaders don't seek followers, they inspire them. And she's been one inspirational leader for over her 40 years in public service, making a difference, a true servant leader. This phenomenal lady has been the first in so many different areas, but the one that we look at now and where she's making a phenomenal impact, even though she's impacted every area you can imagine. She, again, became the first African-American and first woman to lead the powerful Banking and Finance Committee for the 117th Congress. Now, before she became the leader, she was holding everybody accountable anyway, so they knew if they wanted to get it done right, make her chair, and she has done that. We want to thank, again, for the fearless leadership that we've had a lady that stands firm, does not back down from anyone. And you know, when that guy they call your president starts to tweet, you know he has had his bottom kicked by Maxine Waters. And he cannot take her on, so he just figures he'd do like small-time people do and publicly try to say something about this phenomenal lady. But we're not talking about him. It's not about him. It's about the lady who's made a difference and continues to make a difference. And so it is our honor and pleasure to present tonight, again, one of the most powerful persons. The script said women. I say one of the most powerful persons in this nation and the world, and a lady who gets up every day not just to look out for those of us of color and the African American and Latina and the Asian American community, but the poor and those who've been left out and left behind. And so please join me in honoring the one and only, the Honorable Maxine Waters. It's my honor to present again for our next award, Bishop Leah D. Daughtry. It is an honor to present to the Bishop the 2019 Chairman Circle Faith, Political, Women's Empowerment, and Social Justice Leadership Award. That's a long title because she takes care of a lot of business. Bishop Daughtry, first, we salute you for dedicating your life and faith as a faith leader, a teacher, a preacher, and want to congratulate you on being, again, consecrated and inducted this past Saturday as a bishop to the office of presiding prelate of the House of the Lord in the Episcopal Church. Give it up again for the bishop. We also salute you for your servant leadership, your commitment to enhancing and improving the quality of life for people and women in business, for our young people in community, and holding people accountable in the political arenas. So for that, we thank you for your leadership. We thank you for being a mentor, but most importantly, we celebrate you for just being you. Okay. The next award goes to Lee Saunders. I tell you, we're delighted to present the 2019 Chairman Circle Labor, Economic, and Social Justice Leadership Award to this great man, Mr. Lee Saunders. Lee, we all just don't join Omega chapter anytime soon. Lee, we salute you for leading one of the nation's largest labor unions as the president of the American Federation of State county and municipal employees, AFL-CIO comprising over 1.6 million public service workers serving in hundreds of public sector service jobs, including nursing, child care providers, corrections officers, again, sanitation workers, and much, much more. We thank you for your exceptional and transformational leadership and for your lifetime commitment for fighting for workers' rights, quality health care, civil rights, and economic prosperity, and racial and social justice. You have been a phenomenal giant out there making a difference for all, for the quality of life for so many families. We appreciate and honor you for a lifetime of servant leadership, fighting for workers, their families, and of course to help make this nation a much better place. Again, we honor you, Lee Saunders. Congressman Cummins, Elijah Cummins, could not join us tonight, and so at a later date, we will present him his award for his great leadership. So send your prayers up for him for better health, but more importantly, we know with him and the giants that we have in Congress, they're fighting to make a difference for all. Roro, I turn it back over to you.
All right, folks. Help. Ain't that many dudes in here from Texas. All right, I'm about to handle the Q&A over here with the people, and then we, yeah, I got you. First of all, Tom, I want to give Lee a shout out. Lee's a member of the greatest fraternity of all, Alpha Phi Alpha. Give it up for Lee. I do want to say, give it up. Yeah, I know Tom is a hater. Tom is a hater. Tom is a hater. I do want to say this. So. First of all, we've been live streaming this event all night, and so for the folks who are not here, you can tell them they can go to Facebook page, Periscope page, and YouTube channel. When I emceed this event last year, we were Roland Martin Unfiltered. We were live just 1 month, and in the 1 year that we have had this platform, the only black daily digital show. We got 8 black cable networks, not a single hour of news on any one of them. They do 1,344 hours of content each week. We launched this after TV One canceled, News One now. And in the last year, we've done 100.7 million views, 345 million minutes viewed, and has grown the YouTube channel by more than 250,000 followers. And shout out to Melanie because we've done a number of live streaming of events at the Black Women's Roundtable, the National Coalition, getting the word out and being able to share the information with us. And I got to give a shout out to Lee because people always say stuff, man, you know what, I'm sure I hate this happened, but then they disappear. And when the show was canceled, Lee was like, we need to have a daily voice. And so when I decided that we were going to launch this digital show, I met with him and the folks at AFSCME. 24 hours later, they said, we're in. They were the first sponsor with the show. And, of course, after our first anniversary, they said we're re-upping for a second year. It's important to have independent, black-owned media where we don't have to ask somebody permission to cover our stuff. And so were it not for AFSCME and our other partners, we would not be able to live stream events like this. There are people who are all over the world who are actually watching and listening to this, and so that's what's important for us. And so we certainly want other folks to support what we do because, again, we have to control our narrative and our story, and I'm just not interested in asking somebody else to tell our story. We must be in control of it, and so that's why that is critically important. So, Lee, we certainly appreciate you and AFSCME for the support for Roland Martin Unfiltered. Thanks a bunch. I want to start this way, and either one of you can answer the question in any way you would like. we are obviously living in a very weird time. Extremely weird. If you saw the letter that was sent to Turkish president today, I swore it was from The Onion. How would each one of you explain to folks today, in your own words, how would you get them to understand that the decisions and the actions today have the effect on their children's children? Because for a lot of us, we just think present day. But how would you in your own way explain to them that what they do today or don't do has an effect on their children's children? Any one of you?
Well, I'll start off. I think we've got to get back to basics. And getting back to basics is meaning that you put those iPhones on the table, you ignore Facebook and Twitter, and you start organizing like never before in our communities across the country. There is nothing that takes the place of looking someone dead ass in the eye and talking to them and listening to what they have got to say. This is not rocket science. It's back to basics. And we're doing that within our own union. 1.6 million members strong, where we decided that we had to get back to basics. And we couldn't continue to utilize, and social media is great. It has its role, it has its purpose, but nothing takes the place of talking to folks and listening to what they've got to say, and educating and mobilizing and organizing our communities. I got to tell you, I think that this is a movement moment for all of us if we take advantage of that moment. But we've got to be smart, we've got to be strategic, we've got to explain to our communities across the country what is at risk, not only for ourselves today, but our children and our grandchildren in the future. And if we get back to basics, we can win. But we've got to roll up our sleeves and talk truth to power and organize in those communities across the country.
Well, Roland, first of all, allow me a few minutes to say thank you. You have stood the test of time. You have no fear. You have courage. You're brilliant. And you have shown up everywhere that you needed to be. I appreciate your voice. You're our talking drum. Give him a big round of applause.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank all of the members of the board. And let me just tell you, Sister Melanie Camel showed up at the Rayburn House office building after having been in a leader's office when I was thrown under the bus. And she brought a whole bunch of sisters with her. And they went and confronted some folks, scared the hell out of them, and told them they're never again to mess with Maxine Waters. And I want to tell you, things changed quite a bit. So that's sister love, and I appreciate that. There's a lot I could say about so many people here that I've interacted with, but Angela told you she's one of my children. This woman is brilliant, and she has courage. She's always known who she was and from whence she came and what she wanted to do. When she interned in my office, came to Los Angeles, she didn't miss a step. She hit the housing projects in Watts, where we were dealing with gang members, and had no fear, and just took on the leadership that I've already known that she has. And I appreciate her. She is a real role model. Give her a big round of applause also. And for all of the honorees here this evening, I appreciate the sacrifice, the work, and the leadership that they're providing in so many ways. And that is what counts in communication. If you are honest, if you have integrity, and if you speak up, and you demonstrate to young people that you're not afraid, and that you will tell it like it is, you would be surprised how much they will listen.
Right.
We have, for too long, not talked with our young people, told them the truth. As a matter of fact, we have counseled them to be like other folks. We have said to them, just do what is right, speak the King's English properly, and, you know, Make sure you dress up and you look nice. Don't go downtown in your Levi's all torn up, etc. We said all of that. They did all of that, and guess what? When they applied for the job, it wasn't there. When they wanted upward mobility, it didn't really happen. When they still got treated unfairly in all aspects of what they were trying to do, then they thought less of us because we didn't tell them the truth. And so for me, coming from a family of 13 in St. Louis, Missouri, where we had to tell the truth to each other, we had to fight it out, we had to be about making things happen, I have no fear. I am not afraid of anybody.
That's right.
I don't mind saying what has to be said to whomever it has to be said, and I feel a sense of freedom in doing that. And so what I'm saying in the way that I conduct myself to young people, that I want you to come in contact with yourself. I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to know whom you are, and I want you to be able to use that power that you have to make things happen. And guess what? You don't have to take off of anybody disrespect. You don't have to take a back seat. You don't have to allow folks to disregard you, to undermine you. I don't care if it's the President of the United States of America. If he is willing to do what this president has done in terms of undermining the Constitution of the United States of America, aligning himself with our enemies in Russia, disrespecting women and talking about grabbing them by their private parts, being compromised by Putin, joining with Kim Jong-un in North Korea and wishing he was a dictator, and then wants to be your leader and your president, and you stand for it, then something's wrong with you. And if you understand what you're seeing and what you have seen in me, I want you to step up to the plate. And I want you to be there. And you're absolutely correct. You don't organize simply by going on the internet. You got to show up. And for those young people who think that showing up, protesting, and organizing is old school stuff, you better join us in the old school if you want to get anything done. And so, I guess what I'm saying is all that you have experienced, young people in particular, where you have been denied the opportunity that you deserve, where you have been disrespected, it is because of people like this. And guess what? Your children and your children's children are going to suffer more than you if you don't do something about it. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't get it, then be prepared to live in hell and misery for the rest of your life and not to have expectations for your children. And so I'm the skunk who come to the party. And in saying that, let me just say that I have an appreciation for how our organizations have to work so hard to raise the dollars that are needed to do the work that they're doing. And I'm appreciative to the corporations who participate, but we have to call them out also, because on the one hand, they can't give us 10 cents and then undermine us. They can't have the banner at the church that talks about, support them, and at the same time, they're dealing in so many ways against us. And so I won't go into detail, and I'm not blaming the brother, but I know why Comcast could not come up on this stage tonight.
All right, Bishop, you got to follow that.
Okay. Well, first I want to add my thanks to Melanie and the board of the coalition and to all of the fellow sister and brother honorees. I'm thrilled to be here. What I want to try to tie a thread that Lee and Angela earlier raised. I think the most revolutionary, the most woke thing that we can do is to be in relationship with one another. We are in a time where you don't have to leave your house. You can have everything delivered. You can keep up on social. You don't have to see a living. I know because I've done it. But to step out and to actually have a conversation, to talk with someone, to really organize outside of Twitter and Facebook and all that, that's a revolutionary thing these days. We don't do enough of that. And we are not going to be successful in organizing our communities until we do the real roll up your sleeves, combat work of loving each other. That's really important. And then tie that with this conversation around civic engagement and around, you know, people voting and not voting. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from the hood in Brooklyn. And I was raised in a black nationalist, Pan-Africanist community. And those folks don't understand the system. Don't understand why the system has anything to do with them. They're just trying to walk their kid across the dangerous park to get to school. They're just trying to get to work. This system is set up, the racist nature of the American electoral system means that it's hard to vote. We make it hard for people. Right. Vote, election day's on a Tuesday.
Right.
That means for folk in my neighborhood, they got to take off work to vote. They got to figure out how to register. And then they don't understand, all of them, why it even matters, because it's not relevant to their day-to-day existence. I'm black. I got every plastic bag I ever had from the grocery store, so don't blame me for climate change. I don't get it, right? Climate change, y'all all know y'all got that drawer with the plastic bags. It's not relevant, and until I can break it down to folks. So when I'm having conversations with young people, and I don't get it, Miss Leah, and they're like, what issue do you care about? Tell me what you care about. What's happening in your life? Well, my children's school, okay, you know who's in charge of that? So-and-so's in charge of that. Let's go see them, and you tell them what your issue is. This is how you vote for people. This is how you put in a school board. Until we make it relevant for them in their day-to-day existence. Those of us who vote now, we know what the deal is. We gonna go vote. But for a whole generation of folks, a whole swath of our communities is not relevant, and we have to do the work of educating people and helping them to see why it is relevant and why it does matter.
All right. I'm Vice President Digital on the National Association of Black Journalists Board, and I joined last year. They asked me to join the board. I've been on the board 2 previous times. And when we made the decision to publicly call out media companies for the lack of hiring black folks, some people who were real scared. And I said, well, it's not like you're getting hired right now anyway. I mean, Monique asked me when her talk show on BET, she's like, Roland, I'm scared, you know. You talk about, I'm scared you're going to get fired. I said, I start every job with the premise I'm going to get fired anyway. So you might as well say what you got to say while you're there. Ain't nothing like not saying nothing, then you get laid off. Now you mad at home mad as hell. I'm at home like, I said every damn thing I wanted to say while I was there. But when we publicly called out CNN and Jeff Zucker for no black executive producers, no black VPs, no black SVPs, no black EVPs, no black direct reports, folks were, and then he said, well, I'll meet with your board. I'll meet with everybody but Roland. And our folks like, no, it's not going to happen. And we had members who were scared, and I had to explain to them, you have to learn how to use power. And then we reached out, CBC released a letter, NCBCP, Alphas did, Deltas did, Omegas did. So all of a sudden they went, wait, well, hold up, dang. And then I had the church folk just waiting, and all of a sudden they appointed one black person. We said not good enough. Then it was a second, the following week, not good enough. And the third one, and they just named their first black executive producer of the Situation Room the other day. And I explained to them, you have to use your power. And if we really want to be honest, I think for a lot of black folks, we're afraid to use power. We're afraid to go there. So for each one of you, share with this audience how you have been willing to use that power when people told you, can you just like pipe down? Speak about flexing power and not being afraid to use it?
Well, I simply demonstrate publicly that I will not be taken advantage of. I will not be disrespected. And when you have the treasurer of the United States government come to my committee and talk over me, I shut him down and just reclaim my time. That's one thing. The other thing is this. Having worked for so many years to gain the seniority to get to the position that I'm in, I created a new subcommittee of the Committee on Diversity and Inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
It is so important that we understand that these traditional structures do not include us, but rather exclude us. And if we want to deal with what has been happening in our society traditionally, we've got to think differently. We cannot always think about how we continue to go after justice and equality in ways that we have been told that if you want to be treated right, act nice, dress right, speak the right English, etc., you have to go at it a different way. And another thing that I have done, not only in exercising power in creating a brand new subcommittee, I always remind in whatever way I need to do, I've got the gavel and I know how to use it. And so what I do in doing this that comes from my heart, my spirit takes me to these places. It connects with young people. And I have a following of 1,000,001 plus millennials who understand what I'm doing, who relate to what I'm doing, and who are inspired by what they see and feel, and the courage that they are gaining in not having to hold their heads down, kind of be in the shadows, not confront. And I see it happening, and I'm so encouraged about the 2020 elections and the fact that we are going to expand participation because our millennials are not only being inspired, but now they see a lot of what we've been teaching them.
That's right.
And they see the difference between this thing in the White House and others that they could not vote for because somebody told them they were crooked, or they didn't know that they were being misused by Russian bots. And so I just believe that we can all use power, and some older people got to just learn how to do it. First of all, you got to learn where you are in life. And for people who have been in these jobs for so long, should have gone home because they can retire, why don't you get up and cuss somebody out one day and go on home? And just go on home.
And we'll lower your blood pressure.
And think about everything that you've been taking all of these years. And also think about the sacrifices you have made, the hard work that you have done, and what you would like to have, you know, for your children. And use your power. Now, one of the things, and I'm just going to wrap this up. One of the things I don't like, I don't have an appreciation for and never will, people who make it and don't want anybody else to make it.
Come on.
Because they think that they should be, they don't say the only one, not the onlyless one, you know, the onlyless one. And I just resent that so very, very much. The other thing that I hate, people who make it and receive, you know, are fortunate enough, whatever, to get to a certain position, they're afraid to appoint somebody to be the deputy in their office with them, the second person in charge, the third person in charge. White people have appointed other white people all of our lives, all of the history of this country, for other people who look like them, and we are afraid to appoint people who look like us because they will think it's too many. And so we've got to deal with power. And if you're in the back room, and you're in the back room in these discussions that go on in major corporations, in politics, in government, where you know that your people are being undermined, that people of color, that blacks, Latinos, LGBTQ, people are being undermined, joked about, and you don't say anything, you unworth your salt. And so what you need to do is understand that you have power, and the only way you're going to get some respect is you get right in folks' face who would dare say, do, and act that way in your presence and deal with it. And you'd be surprised how much power you will have exercised and how you will not only benefit yourself, but a lot of other people. Use your power. But let me just tell you, in order to do that, you got to know who you are.
Come on.
You've got to know whom you are. You've got to be comfortable with yourself. And at some point in time, you've got to come to grips with whether or not you're the person that you really can be, that you really need to be. And it's all right. All of my life, I spend a little time at night and in the morning, and I look in the mirror and I say, what did you accomplish today? What did you deal with today? Did you deal with someone or something that was happening that you could have made a difference with? And no, you didn't do it because you were afraid, or you didn't have the courage, or you didn't have whatever it takes. And I think we all need to do that. And until you come to grips with who you are, and whom you are, and what you care about, then you're not going to be able to exercise power. Power comes with a certain kind of confidence. Don't be afraid of anybody. Thank you very much.
Bishop Ali. Bishop?
He gonna go last. The part of the point and the purpose of power is to bring other people in and to impact other people's lives. And if your power is simply for you to get another raise and another office and another car and another house, then that's not real power. Power is how you make the circle bigger.
Come on, come on.
And bring other people to the table. So at the end of the day, you ask yourself, how is the organization different because I was here? Who's at the table now that would not have been at the table if I was here? I've had the opportunity, as many of you know, to serve as Chief of Staff of the party for Howard Dean and Terry McAuliffe, and to serve as CEO of the 2008 and 16 conventions, the only person of any race or color to do the job twice. That's a lot of power. And one of the things I prided myself on was who's not here. When I walk into a room, who's missing? LGBT, women, men, black folk, young folk, who's not here? I am in the position to bring them in the room. And by that, I extend my power. Now, that also means that I have a say about, or I had a say in those days about how the money gets spent. Because if the money's going to get spent the way the money always was spent, then what's my purpose and what's my point? Why am I at the table? I'm not making a difference. And so, and who gets to speak? It shouldn't be the same old people that always got to speak, get to speak. We need some people of color on the speaker's table, at the microphone, building the stage, handing out the credentials. All of these things where we have always traditionally been excluded. That's my job. That's how I see power. Who did I bring in that wasn't here? Who did I impact? Did I leave the organization different? Is the organization different, the church different, the business different, the not-for-profit? Is it different because I was at the helm? And if the answer is no, then I didn't do my job, and I didn't exercise my power, and I just should have stayed home.
Lee.
Is this working? Well, I think we have power. And I agree with Maxine and I agree with Leah. But we've got to figure out how to use it in a strategic manner to achieve the goals that we need to achieve in our communities all across this country. I mean, I'm going to tell you a story. Public sector unions in this country, representing 35% of the public sector workforce have been under attack like never before by those who want to bury these workers and bury the labor movement. They understand that we have power and they want to take it away from us. They get it. We've got to understand that. But we've got to be smart enough and strategic enough to use that power every single day by organizing and mobilizing and educating our communities. Now, they came after the public sector unions, the public service unions, last year with a Supreme Court case called Janus versus AFSCME, one of my affiliates in Illinois. And the Supreme Court essentially ruled, 5 Supreme Court judges ruled that public sector workers should be treated as second-class citizens, and the public sector became right to work entirely across this country. They tried to take that seat away from us at the table. They thought that they had buried us. They thought that they had killed us. But you know what happened? We came together like never before. They have not killed us. We are growing more than we ever have grown, and we're fighting back, and we're making our voices heard. I don't fall for the game that, well, they're coming after us, so we just got to give in or feel sorry for ourselves. What are we going to do to regain that power, to regain that seat at the table? And I go back to what I originally said. It's simple and it's basic, but it's about organizing. And it's about talking to our folks in our communities across the country. And we do. Maxine, I agree with you. We've got an opportunity in 2020, but we've got to be smart and strategic about how we do it. And we've got to reach out to our natural partners. We've got to talk with our young people and just not talk to them, but they've got ideas. They can teach us some things if we let them. And we've got to grow this movement moment, as I discussed before, so we can win. So we can win in 2020. It's not just about winning in 2020. It's about setting the stage every single day. Not by parachuting people in 2 weeks before the election, but it's about keeping relationships every single day and working our communities and working those folks that care about their communities every single day. If we do that, we will win, I guarantee you. But it is time for us to roll up our sleeves, not make excuses, not feel sorry for ourselves, but accept the challenge that confronts all of us. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. My dad was a bus driver, proud union member, Amalgamated Transit Union. My mother was a community organizer. In that area that I grew up in Cleveland, called the Glenville area, I don't know if anybody here is from Cleveland, a poor area when I was growing up. But you know what? That community was strong because we believed in one another and we protected one another. I believe that's what we've got to get back to. If we do that, we can win.
Absolutely.
Huh? I just wanted to ask if you mind if I add a little bit to what you just said. You know, we have these campaigns, and many of us learned campaigning, knocking on doors, going into supermarkets, passing out literature, putting up signs, doing whatever we had to do. I'm amazed that I have a lot of people who come to the campaign who want to give me advice. They don't want to walk. They don't want a telephone. I work in my campaigns. As a matter of fact, I put up signs at night, 12 and 1 o'clock at night with the boys on the street, because that keeps you grounded. that keeps you in touch with folks. You learn what's going on late at night that you don't see in the day. People come out, even the homeless, and talk to you and appreciate you for being out there. And so organizing, working in every level, there is not a job that I won't do in the interests of winning. I want to win. I know how to do everything it takes in life. And I don't need specialists for anything, of course. If I have the time, the resources, I do have specialists doing certain things, but it doesn't matter. If they're not around, I can do it myself. Whatever it takes. That's the kind of energy and spirit I want people to have. I'll sweep a floor. I'll put up a sign. I'll knock on a door. I will go and knock on the jail door to get somebody out. I run to the hospital to see about somebody who's been shot. I will do whatever it takes to advance our cause. That's the kind of spirit I try to engender and the kind of spirit I want to see. Thank you for wanting to advise me and to consult. I don't need you. I need some workers. I need some people who are willing to hit the street. Thank you very much.
The Bible does say the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. You heard a lot. Obviously, have no fear. Use your power. I will leave you with this. Minyana Moore told me the story. I think, Leah, you were part of this group. So when they had all this drama in the Women's March, and they were going after Tamika and Carmen and Linda and Bob Bland, a group of black women called them for a meeting. And you know, being a reporter, you know, I found out exactly what happened. So they're going to the meeting, and there's largely white women in the room. So this group of sisters, well, you were there, right, Leah? Yeah. They walked in and said, Melanie, you were there too? Yeah. They walked in and say, who y'all? Am I getting this right? Y'all said, we ain't heard of none of y'all. Corey, well, you were there. So yeah, I know you were there too. I told you I heard the story. They literally jacked up all these white women and told them, y'all ain't getting rid of nobody or y'all got to deal with us. And guess what? They left them the hell alone. They kept them. They were mad. But the whole point is, which is I think this is the most important part, it wasn't just that this group of sisters, older black women who was riding for these younger sisters, what they did is they also flexed their power. And they let all these new white women in this movement know, y'all are new. If you took the collective years of activism of the sisters who were in there, it exceeded 100 years. And they let them know, y'all ain't gonna mess with them, because then y'all got to deal with us. Why is that important? Because when you are fighting, folks, and trust me, I know what it feels like, there's nothing worse to swing and ain't nobody behind you. We love to talk about the folks who fight for us, but I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than when you're trying to fight for your people and then your people don't have your back. And so we can't just applaud and say amen right on. If we're going to have freedom fighters, we got to have people who are going to have the back of our freedom fighters, because that's what gives them the courage to keep going and to keep fighting. Because if they turn around and they don't see anybody having their back, trust me, they're going to give up. And I think that's really what young folks appreciate, what they're looking for. And I know for me, you're right, I'm not willing to call anybody out. I have a very simple philosophy. If you do good, I'll talk about you. And if you do bad, I'll talk about you. At the end of the day, I'm going to talk about you. But we've got to have independent folks to be able to speak truth to power. And so we appreciate our chairman's winners. Give them a round of applause, please. We are out of here in 6 minutes. Melody, come on up. Tommy, come on up. And then we are out of here. Guarantee, trust me. We're going to have y'all just stay right here. It's 6 minutes. It'll be easier. All right. Y'all go right here.
We want to start by thanking our investors first, our partner investors. So please help us in thanking them. If you'll come up on stage for a quick photo on the final piece with this phenomenal panel, those who are partners, you know who you are, help them up on stage. Next, I'd like to ask all of the board members to stand and make your way up front here, because it's important that you understand, while Melanie is phenomenal, give it up to our president and CEO for the work that she does and continues to do. But the board and the board members that are here, please come real quickly. I'm down to 3.5 minutes. And then, yeah, go ahead and do your thing.
And, you know, I thank everyone for saying Melanie, but Melanie is a piece of the puzzle. So we ask our team to come up, Tanya and Anthony and Lisa and Daryl and Acacia, Tawana, Lon.
All of you know who you are, so please come up real quick.
We're going to take our family photo. And everybody, and all the honorees that are still here, come on up. And ask our honorees to come towards the front. All honorees stand in the front. We're going to get a group photo.
All right, what we want to do too, folks, while you see our board, when we say coalition, it's made up of 71 African-American organizations throughout the country. I am pleased and honored to be the national chair of 100 Black Men of America and serving at the board, but I have my brothers here from my D.C. chapter in Metro Area 100 Black Men. Please stand and let me say thank you. And we're part of the coalition, so my 100 Black Men members that are here and any other in the room. While we get ready for this photo, Roro, you and Michelle, let's give it up to our two hosts for the evening. And for those of you in the room, Roland says what he means and means what he says, and he understands the truth of freedom of speech, but he can't continue to do that if we don't have investors. So it's an opportunity for you to invest in his shows so he can continue to have the freedom to say what is important for us that needs to be heard. So please make sure you communicate with Roland and let's do our part. So now,
and I have one of my adopted moms is here. She's can I say? Is it okay to say? 90+ years old, and still Miss Carolyn Carter, stand up. I never stop. You have to thank you. Come up when I came here, and Miss Carter, she came all the way from Silver Spring, and she's 90+ years young, and she came out, and she comes every year. So I gotta make sure I pause. All board members up here. Black Women's Roundtable members, if you're in here too, come on up. If you still.
All right, we're gonna shut it down, but let me say to all of you, it's important that we say to all of you,
Judy, y'all come up.
Even if you're not a corporate partner, any of you that invested in a ticket or a table, we appreciate you because your investment has made a difference and continues to make a difference. Melanie and the team were so successful in the mid-2008 time frame and on, and were so successful throughout this country that investors stopped investing in this organization because of the success. But that did not stop this coalition. So we want you to please work with us, invest in this organization. Next year, we want our voices heard, and you know the challenges we've had, and they're coming after us. So please invest in the coalition, and we look forward to you also working with us. So now we're going to take the photos.
Yes, and then everybody, I'm waiting on my sister. Hold on. My sister, come on up here. Yes.
All right,
thank y'all.
Photographers, come on, let's.
All right, here we go. I don't know where my brother is, but you know. Thank you.
Drive safely home.
Thank you for sharing your evening with us. That concludes our program for the evening. Please don't forget to support us at unitycampaign.org.
Hey, Dante. Okay. Oh.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey, yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan. And if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.